Is Ferrari already plotting a leadership coup? Whispers echoing through the Formula One paddock suggest exactly that. With another underwhelming season slipping through their fingers, Ferrari's top brass appears to be losing faith in Fred Vasseur. What began as a quiet inquiry to Red Bull's Christian Horner now looks like part of a much wider operation, a calculated behind-the-scenes mission to find a new leader capable of dragging the Scuderia out of its ongoing crisis. Could this be the first step toward a dramatic regime change at Maranello? It's a striking shift from the optimism Ferrari projected at the start of the year. Fred Vasseur was introduced not just as a stabilizer, but as the visionary who would finally realign the team's identity, someone expected to restore discipline, modernize operations, and unify the leadership structure fractured since Mattia Binotto's exit. His role in securing Lewis Hamilton was seen as a power move, signaling Ferrari's intent to reassert itself as a championship force. Yet just a few months into the season, the momentum has stalled. Ferrari's strategic errors persist, car development appears reactive rather than proactive, and morale inside the garage is reportedly strained. With rivals like McLaren executing sharp upgrades and Mercedes showing signs of recovery, Ferrari's lack of progress reflects more on leadership than just car performance. That's where the spotlight turns, back to Vasseur, and whether he's the right man to navigate this critical transition phase. Charles Leclerc's second-place finish in Monaco may have offered a much-needed morale boost, but it did little to mask the deeper structural flaws Ferrari continues to grapple with. Race pace remains erratic, strategy calls are often reactive or muddled, and questions about car development have gone unanswered. For a team that promised transformation under Vasseur, the inconsistencies suggest that the core issues remain unsolved. Internally, the unease didn't start in Monaco. Murmurs of doubt reportedly began as early as the season's opening flyaways, where Ferrari's inability to capitalize on strong qualifying positions exposed persistent execution flaws. According to Sport Build, both CEO Benedetto Vigna and Chairman John Elkann have privately voiced concern, particularly with the critical 2026 reset looming, a moment that demands clear leadership, long-term planning, and technical decisiveness. Ferrari's approach to Christian Horner, then, was less about targeting a specific name and more about signaling intent. It was an exploratory move described as informal yet strategic, a way to gauge interest and test whether the allure of Maranello could tempt one of F1's most successful team bosses. Horner, unsurprisingly, reaffirmed his commitment to Red Bull, but the fact that Ferrari reached out at all was the real headline. It exposed the level of internal doubt around Vasseur and confirmed that Ferrari's leadership is open, if not eager, to explore alternatives before the clock runs out on reshaping their future under the 2026 regulations. Perhaps even more telling than the Horner approach is that he wasn't the only one. Ferrari's quiet recruitment push has reportedly extended to several influential figures, not just within the F1 ecosystem, but across the wider motorsport world. Former team principals, senior executives at rival outfits, and seasoned leaders from other racing disciplines have all been discreetly sounded out. The message is unmistakable. Ferrari is casting a wide net in search of someone who can not only deliver championships but also navigate the intricate politics that define life at Maranello. Strategic clarity, leadership under pressure, and the authority to unite the Scuderia, that's the job description. What stands out is just how early this behind-the-scenes process has begun. We're not even halfway through the 2025 season, yet Ferrari is already laying the groundwork for a potential leadership pivot. The urgency is driven by timing, with Lewis Hamilton joining in 2025 and the sweeping 2026 regulation overhaul on the horizon. Ferrari knows it must lock in the right leadership now to avoid stumbling into yet another transitional era plagued by instability and missed potential. To be fair to Vasseur, he didn't walk into a well-oiled machine. He inherited a Ferrari deeply scarred by years of internal dysfunction, a team that had become synonymous with technical upheaval, leadership churn, and a chronic lack of direction under Mattia Binotto. Stabilizing that kind of chaos was never going to be a quick fix, but patience isn't exactly a Ferrari hallmark, not from the boardroom and certainly not from the tifosi. And while Vasseur has made strides in rebuilding morale and imposing some structural order, the results that truly matter still haven't materialized. The team continues to falter in key areas. Tyre degradation remains a glaring weakness. Strategic missteps from the pit wall are far too common, and Ferrari's development pace has failed to keep up with sharper, more agile rivals like McLaren and Red Bull. Every race lost is a reminder that the rebuild is moving too slowly, and next year the stakes won't just rise, they'll skyrocket. Lewis Hamilton hasn't joined Ferrari to patiently wait out another rebuild. He's not here to mentor a new generation or settle for marginal gains. At 40 years old, this is likely his last serious shot at an 8th world title, the one that would set him apart in Formula One history forever. He's coming for legacy, not lessons. That kind of ambition demands a team firing on all cylinders from day one, technically, strategically, and politically. There's no room for excuses, no margin for missteps. For Hamilton, every race will be a championship race, and that intensity puts a microscope on Vasseur's leadership. Can he deliver a car that's not just fast but adaptable across a grueling 24-race calendar? Can he make the right calls on the pit wall when the title hinges on a single lap or tyre switch? And more importantly, can he command the kind of internal cohesion needed to support a title bid, especially under the immense spotlight Hamilton brings with him? Because if he can't, Ferrari may already be preparing for life after him. Christian Horner's refusal to entertain Ferrari's offer came as little surprise to those familiar with the inner workings of the paddock. Since taking the reins in 2005, Horner has transformed Red Bull from a midfield curiosity into the most dominant force of the modern Formula One era. He's not just the longest-serving team principal on the grid, he's an institution within Red Bull. His authority is absolute. His influence spans every corner of the operation, and despite recent off-track controversies, he retains the full backing of the team's tie ownership. In Milton Keynes, he's more than a leader. He's untouchable. Ferrari, by comparison, is an entirely different beast. The weight of history, combined with corporate micromanagement, intense media scrutiny, and a notoriously political culture, makes it the most complex job in Formula One. For someone like Horner, who has spent years consolidating control and shielding his team from internal turbulence, the idea of stepping into Maranello's pressure cooker, where autonomy is constantly challenged, likely held little appeal. It's not just about managing a team, it's about surviving the machinery of Ferrari itself. Still, Ferrari's overture wasn't necessarily made in the expectation of securing Horner's signature. It was more of a strategic probe, a way to take the temperature, understand who might be open to discussions, and begin mapping out a succession plan should Vasseur's position become untenable. In that sense, Horner's rejection may have been expected, but the inquiry itself was the signal, a signal that Ferrari is preparing for change, not waiting for crisis. With the European stretch of the calendar now underway, the spotlight on Fred Vasseur will only grow harsher. The next few races, in Spain, Austria, and Silverstone, will serve as a critical barometer for his leadership. Consistent podiums and a genuine step forward in performance could buy him time and restore some lost confidence. But if Ferrari falters again, the quiet whispers in the paddock could erupt into open conversations about succession, conversations that, by all accounts, have already begun behind closed doors. Publicly, Vasseur remains the steady hand guiding Ferrari through turbulent waters. But the discreet outreach to high-profile figures across the motorsport world suggests that the upper echelons of Ferrari aren't simply waiting to see what happens. They're preparing for it. The Frenchman may still be in charge today, but his future hinges on every decision made and every result earned over the next few weeks. Because if Ferrari's form doesn't shift soon, those informal talks will turn formal, and the rumoured list of replacements, that won't just be speculation anymore, it'll be a shortlist on standby. Do you think Ferrari should stick with Fred Vasseur until 2026, or is it time they make a bold move and bring in someone like Christian Horner before it's too late? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.